You're styling your thin hair wrong. Do this instead. 4 simple steps. Have you ever looked in the mirror and quietly asked yourself, where did all my hair go? Have you ever washed your hair in the morning, only to find it limp and greasy by the afternoon, as if it was never clean? Have you ever just stood there, holding your brush, unsure how to style it because nothing seems to look right anymore? If any of that made your heart sink just a little, I want you to hear this, because it matters. You are not alone. And, more importantly, your hair is not ruined. It's just been misunderstood. For women over 50, changes in our hair are inevitable. But no one ever taught us what to do when it starts feeling thinner, flatter, more fragile, or worse, completely invisible. We try everything, volumizing shampoos, heat brushes, holding sprays. And yet the same result greets us in the mirror: disappointment. But here's the truth. It's not that you picked the wrong products. It's that no one ever explained that you've been thinking about your hair the wrong way. In this video, I'm not going to sell you a miracle potion. What I will show you is something far more powerful. 4 simple steps, each one a small shift that can completely transform how your hair looks and feels. Fuller, softer, more alive, every single day. And we'll start with the one thing almost everyone, yes, even hairstylists, still gets wrong. What's the difference between fine hair and thin hair? And why does mixing them up cause so much frustration for women like us? Let's begin. 1. You're confusing fine hair with thin hair, and that's why your hair never looks right. There's a quiet little truth that has left millions of women walking out of salons, not with bad haircuts, but with quiet disappointment. Not because the stylist lacked skill, but because of a misunderstanding no one ever thought to correct. You're caring for your hair the wrong way, simply because no one ever taught you what kind of hair you actually have. Think back to the last time you looked in the mirror and sighed, "Why is my hair so thin?" And you reached for products for thinning hair, tried volumizing sprays, root-lifting mousses, maybe even invested in a dozen different serums for growth. But what did you get? Hair that still falls flat, still shows your scalp. And you quietly wondered, maybe this is just aging. Maybe I'm losing my hair? But hold on. Have you ever actually stopped to ask yourself, is my hair thin because each strand is fine? Or is it because I simply have fewer strands? This is the blind spot, and one that even many professional stylists still mix up. And when you misdiagnose your hair type, every choice you make after that, your shampoo, your styling products, even your haircut goes down the wrong path. You lose time, you lose money, and worst of all, you lose belief that your hair could ever feel beautiful again. In the world of professional hair care, we draw a clear line between two things: fine hair and thin hair. Fine hair means each strand is delicate, narrow in diameter, often soft and light. Thin hair, on the other hand, means your scalp simply grows fewer strands, regardless of how thick or strong each strand might be. To make this visual, imagine a bowl of spaghetti. If the noodles are thin but plentiful, the bowl still looks full. That's fine hair with good density. But if the noodles are thick, but you only have a few, it still looks sparse. That's thin hair, even if each strand is strong. And when you confuse the two, everything goes wrong. You choose the wrong shampoo, the wrong conditioner, the wrong cut, and the wrong way to style it. You end up weighing your hair down with rich serums or stiff sprays. You flatten it with the wrong tools, and eventually you convince yourself your hair is gone. But the truth is, it's just been pushed flat, not fallen out. I've seen it happen to so many women over 50. They come in worried, saying, "My hair feels like it's disappearing." But when I take a closer look, they're not losing hair. They just have fine strands being styled and treated all wrong. And here's the emotional turning point I want you to hear. It's not that your hair isn't beautiful. It's that it's never been cared for the way it actually needs. Once you understand your hair type, everything changes. If you have fine hair, you'll switch to featherlight products that create texture, not shine. You'll ask your stylist for low layers to build your body, instead of high layers that make it look sparse. If your hair is thin, you'll learn to use hair color and parting techniques that create the illusion of fullness. And if you have both fine and thin hair, you'll start to master the balance, the right cuts, the right lift, and the lightest touch to give your hair space to breathe and come alive again. I've had women tell me I gave up on my hair, and I get it. When every attempt feels like a failure, it's easier to stop trying. But when those same women finally understand what their hair truly needs, the first thing they get back isn't just volume, it's hope. They start over, gently, thoughtfully, and little by little, their hair begins to thrive again. No drama, no magic, just a quiet return to themselves. In the next section, we're going deeper. Why is your hair shedding more? Why does it feel like it's thinning every year? And why guessing at the cause might be doing more harm than good? Because hair loss isn't just part of getting older. It could be a message from your body. And when you learn how to listen, you won't just reclaim your hair. You'll reclaim your power. 2. Stop guessing. Understand the real reason for your hair loss before you waste another dollar or ounce of hope. Imagine taking your car to the mechanic because it's running sluggishly and making strange noises. One person says it's the engine. Another suggests changing the battery. You follow both pieces of advice, spending time, spending money, but when you drive away, the car still stutters. Then, a quiet old mechanic walks over, taps your front tire and says, "Ma'am, you've got a flat." You've been driving on faith. That is exactly how most women are fixing their hair. You see clumps of hair on your pillow. You pull strands off your brush by the handful. You panic. You scour the internet. You listen to friends. You buy everything from herbal shampoos to collagen pills, from miracle serums promising regrowth in 14 days to scalp massagers. But week after week, the shedding doesn't stop. Eventually, you whisper to yourself, "Maybe this is it. Maybe this is just aging. I have to accept it." No, don't accept it, not yet. Hair loss after 50 is not a life sentence. And it's definitely not something you just have to endure. Yes, genetics may play a part. If your mother, sister, or aunt experienced hair thinning after menopause, there's a chance you will too. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. Hormonal shifts are another major cause. When estrogen drops during perimenopause, your hair's growth cycle shortens, strands grow weaker, fall faster. But it doesn't stop there. Medications you never even questioned, blood pressure pills, antidepressants, sleeping aids, can quietly trigger shedding as a side effect. And some root causes. You can't see them with the naked eye. A sluggish thyroid, low iron, vitamin D deficiency, even autoimmune disorders like alopecia. All of them can lead to sudden, stubborn hair loss. And sometimes it's none of the above. Sometimes it's just grief, chronic stress, emotional fatigue that never got named. There's even a term for it, telogen effluvium, hair loss triggered by emotional strain. What you thought was just getting older might actually be your body quietly crying out, "Please notice me. I'm not okay." And here's the emotional peak of this chapter. Your hair isn't betraying you. It's sending a signal, begging softly, gently to be heard. But if you keep guessing, keep jumping from product to product without understanding the why, you're not solving the problem. You're just draining your wallet and your hope into a cycle that never ends. The truth, sometimes all it takes is one simple visit to a specialist. One basic blood test can tell you what your body's missing, whether it's hormones, iron, vitamin D, or thyroid support. Once you get clarity, you can take the right path. If it's hormonal, get proper guidance. If it's deficiency, adjust your nutrition. If it's medication, ask your doctor about alternatives. And if it's stress, maybe it's time to stop, to breathe, to place a hand over your heart and ask, what is this body really asking for? I've seen women come back months later, smiling, not because their hair grew back overnight, but because the shedding finally stopped. Not because of some miracle serum, but because they finally started caring for themselves from the inside out. No, you can't rewind time, but you can change the way you listen to your body. And hair, though it may seem like just a surface issue, is often the loudest whisper of what's happening beneath. Now get ready, because in the next part, I'll share a secret that many women overlook. Not because it doesn't work, but because they think it's too bold for their age. But here's the truth. Used the right way, it can make your hair look twice as thick just by optical illusion. And no, it's not a pill, a serum, or a treatment. It's color. Yes, hair color. The very thing you feared might make you look older. Might just be the one thing that brings radiance back to your reflection. 3. The secret of hair color. It's not about hiding your age. It's about bringing your hair back to life. There's a myth that's quietly followed women across generations, that coloring your hair is something you only do to cover your age. And because of that belief, far too many women have missed out on one of the most powerful tools we have, not to conceal, but to awaken, to breathe life back into every strand of our hair. I want you to picture a woman in her 60s. Her hair is silver, her style is simple. No heavy makeup, no flashy clothes. And yet everywhere she walks, people turn to look. Why? Because that silver hair isn't dull. It isn't dry. It catches light, sparkling, dimensional, moving with grace. It reflects who she is, radiant, present, alive from the inside out. Have you ever seen a soft ash brown or warm beige hair color that didn't add a single strand of thickness, yet somehow made a woman's entire face glow? That's the magic of hair color done right. Not bold shades, not complicated techniques, just the perfect hint of contrast enough to catch the light and create depth. Enough to let your hair breathe. You see, when your hair is all one flat color, whether it's black, gray, or brown, light has nowhere to land. Your hair looks still, lifeless, but add just a few strategically placed highlights, half a tone lighter or darker, and suddenly the illusion changes. Your hair moves, it shines, it has volume, texture, and presence. Think of it like an oil painting. It's the interplay between light and shadow that brings it to life. And hair, it works the exact same way. You don't need to color your whole head. You don't need to follow trends. You just need the right technique, the right placement, and the right shade. And suddenly your hair can breathe again. I know many women over 50 are hesitant to color their hair. You worry about root touch-ups, about harsh chemicals, about what people might say. Is she trying too hard to look young? But let me ask you this. Are you really turning away from a tool that could make you glow? Just because someone told you it wasn't age appropriate? Today's coloring methods are softer, smarter, and far more forgiving. With techniques like balayage or baby lights, you can color once and go 5 to 6 months before needing a touch-up. And if you've embraced your natural gray, that's not a limitation, it's a perfect canvas. A few strokes of gold, soft smoke, or warm caramel near your roots, and suddenly your face looks brighter. Your hair looks fuller, and nothing about you has changed, except how the world sees your light. I once had a client in her 60s. She'd been fully gray for over a decade. She believed that staying natural was the only way to age honestly. And then, just for fun, she tried a few subtle caramel ribbons at her crown. She looked in the mirror, and she cried. Not because she missed her youth, but because, for the first time in years, she saw a woman who was still radiant, still vibrant, still free. She wasn't hiding her age. She was finally seeing herself fully, without apology. That's what hair color can do. Not to hide, but to reveal. Not to rewind the clock, but to turn up the light. And sometimes, the most beautiful thing about hair color isn't the shade at all. It's that spark in your eyes. When you see your reflection glow again, you start glowing too. But whether you choose to color your hair or not, there's still something important you need to know. A quiet habit, hiding in plain sight, that's damaging your hair every single day. It's not the product. It's not the technique. It's your hands. And with just one small change, you could keep your volume all day long. No sprays, no stiff styling, no fuss. Don't skip the next part, because you might be shocked to realize just how long this tiny mistake has been holding your hair back. 4. Stop the habit that seems harmless touching, tucking, and fussing with your hair all day. You might not believe it, but one of the biggest reasons your hair loses volume, falls flat, or gets frizzy by the end of the day isn't in your shampoo bottle or your blow dryer. It's in your hands. Sounds strange, doesn't it? But think about it. How many times today did you absent-mindedly run your fingers through your hair while thinking? How often did you tuck a strand behind your ear during a conversation? Or stroke your hair out of habit, maybe when you felt anxious, unsure, or just on autopilot? All those little gestures, sweet, familiar, automatic. they're quietly undoing everything you've worked for. That smooth blowout, that clean, airy volume, that fresh, weightless feeling after a perfect wash. It's all being sabotaged one touch at a time. Because here's what really happens every time your hands graze your hair. Tiny amounts of oil, sweat, and dust from your fingertips transfer directly to your strands, especially at the roots. And if you have fine hair, the effect is even worse. Your style collapses. Your roots get greasy within hours. And suddenly, your clean hair feels heavy and flat. I once had a client ask, "Why does my hair get oily by 3 p.m., even when I wash it, mousse it, and use setting spray?" My first question was, "How often do you touch your hair?" Yeah, she laughed and said, "Probably 100 times a day." That was all I needed to hear. Here's the thing, most of us touch our hair without realizing it. We do it when we're nervous, when we're thinking, when we glance in the mirror. But fine hair is delicate, and every little tug, swipe, or twist repeated dozens of times a day creates friction. That weakens the hair shaft, causes breakage, adds grease, and makes your hair look messy even if it's freshly styled. And here's the emotional truth at the center of it all. The person who loves your hair the most might be the one hurting it the most without even knowing. The good news, you don't need to give up this habit overnight. You don't need to force yourself with guilt or shame. There are gentle, practical ways to break the cycle without feeling restricted. Start by giving your hair that finished feeling after styling. A light, non-sticky setting mist can help you feel that your style is complete, which naturally reduces the urge to touch and tweak. Need to fix your hair during the day? Don't use your hands. Carry a small, wide-tooth comb or soft bristle brush in your purse. Replacing the touch with a tool cuts down on the oil transfer and keeps your roots fresh longer. Another trick I give my clients, whenever you feel the urge to touch your hair, redirect that energy. Hold a cup of tea. Rub a dab of hand cream between your palms. Gently lace your fingers together and rest them in your lap. Small, mindful swaps like these break the unconscious pattern and let your hair breathe. And once you stop reaching for your hair constantly, you'll be amazed. Volume lasts longer. Breakage slows down. Your wash days stretch out further because your roots stay clean. All those little improvements, they didn't come from a new serum. They came from you. Some women tell me they saw a difference in just 1 week. Their hair felt stronger, lighter, not because they added anything, but because they stopped doing just one thing. And if you're wondering, is there anything else I've been doing wrong without knowing it? The answer is yes, and it involves one of the most common products in your routine. Conditioner, something we all use, something we think we understand. But when used the wrong way, it can completely sabotage your hair's bounce, lift, and freshness. In the next part, I'll show you exactly how to apply conditioner the right way, so your hair stays light, full, and vibrant for days. It's a simple shift, but trust me, once you make it, you'll never go back. 5. Conditioner. One tiny mistake can undermine your entire hairstyle. Conditioner. That silky, smoothing, shine-boosting step we all reach for after shampooing. It feels like the loyal friend your hair can't live without. But what if I told you that same friend might be quietly sabotaging every effort you make to build volume, hold a style, and keep your hair fresh? I'm not exaggerating. One small mistake in how you use conditioner can leave your hair limp and lifeless before it even has a chance to dry. I remember a client mid-50s, fine hair, always struggling with flatness. She told me, "I use all the right products, mousse, proper blow-dry technique, careful styling, but by lunch, it all falls apart." So I asked how she applied the conditioner. With full confidence, she replied, "From roots to ends like everyone else." And right there, it clicked. That's the mistake so many women make, even the ones who care for their hair with so much love. You see, the roots of your hair, those fresh new strands growing in, are already healthy. They're strong. They don't need the conditioner's help. But the rest are veterans. They've lived through the blow dryers, the dyes, the hot tools, the sun. They need that nourishment. Yet, out of habit, many of us slather conditioners over our entire head. The result? Heavy roots, weighed down volume, a style that never has a chance to lift. Hair that gets greasy too quickly loses shape and falls flat, no matter how hard you've tried. Have you ever styled your hair in the morning, only to tie it back by noon because it lost all its form? Have you noticed your hair looking oily just a day after a deep wash? If so, your conditioner might be the silent culprit you never suspected. And here's the emotional heart of this truth. Could it be that the very act of care you thought was helping your hair is the reason it can't breathe, can't lift, can't come alive? The fix? Surprisingly simple. Next time you condition, tilt your head slightly forward. Let your hair fall away from your scalp. Apply conditioner from mid-length to ends, only avoiding the roots entirely. Use your fingers like a wide-tooth comb, gently gliding through the strands. When you rinse, let the water flow downward from the ends out. Avoid letting it run from your crown down your back. This helps prevent leftover conditioner from settling near the roots, where it can add unnecessary weight. If you use a leave-in conditioner or spray afterward, same rule applies, mid-shaft to ends only. Roots stay untouched. Just one adjustment. But you'll feel the difference almost instantly. Hair that's still soft, still shiny, but now light, airy, naturally full. Instead of collapsing by mid-morning, it floats, it moves, it lasts. Most people think volume comes from styling products, but in reality, it starts in the shower, with the way you wash, the way you rinse, the way you care. And when you shift those small daily habits, that's when your hair begins to come back to life, not just for a day, but in a way that lasts. Because here's the truth, fine hair doesn't need to be hidden, and thin hair doesn't mean decline. They're just part of your natural story, like the smile lines near your eyes or the deeper tone of your voice. Not something to fix, but something to understand, to honor, to make beautiful in your own way. All it takes is a little knowledge, a few gentle changes, and one softer look in the mirror. You'll be amazed how your hair begins to bloom again. Each fine strand, each silver glint, all capable of shining if you care for it right, see it clearly, and most of all, believe you deserve to glow. If this video resonated with you, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. And don't miss the next one, 5 haircuts that instantly make women over 50 look younger. Because sometimes just one good haircut is enough to start a brand new chapter. There is no greater beauty than the confidence that comes from knowing yourself. Sophia Loren.